Okay, once again, good morning and Jai Hind. Today we
Good
have a
morning, sir.
special
Good
session.
morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we have a special session. What is the crisis going on in the world? We cannot stay aloof. There are implications, may not be visible directly today, but they are there in the future because world is connected very complexly today. Anything happening in the some part of world, it affects everyone, whether we like it or not. We are pulled into it. There are some international relations which are really going to matter. Who is on whose side is very important. Unprecedented situation. Earlier also we had some conflicts, but this is a modern day conflict. Relations at international level are more important from the trade point of view and many other aspects. Which group you stay in is important nowadays. Okay, Paras, what is your heading today?
Russia's reasons for attack.
Okay, we'll go with you. You have got a college?
Yes, I need
Okay,
to leave.
who will keep time? Vivek?
Yes, sir.
Okay, keep time.
Paras, sir, you can start.
Okay. Good morning. My today's topic is Russia's reasons for the attack. In the morning of 24th Feb, Russia declared war against Ukraine. Russia moved ahead from three directions, which were Crimean island, Luhansk and Donetsk regions, and Belarus. And Russia also recognized two independent regions of Ukraine as Donetsk Republic and Luhansk Republic. Russia already occupied Crimea, which is a small island situated at the south of Ukraine in 2014. And the one of the main reasons of attack is Ukraine is joining NATO. If Ukraine joins NATO, the borders of NATO could expand, and it will be difficult to defend for Russia if war happens in the future. To counter NATO, Russia also founded their own military alliance as CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization, which consists of six members: Armenia, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. The one more reason is natural gas and oil. Russia is world's second largest producer of oil, even ahead of Saudi Arabia. Russia also has world's largest natural gas reserves across Siberia. The revenues gained by selling natural gas and oil represents Russia's 30% GDP. The 35% of European Union's gas supplies comes from Russia alone. The Germany, which is the world's fourth largest economy, imports its 50% of natural gas from Russia, and all of these natural gas exports are carried out through pipelines spread across whole Europe. One of their main pipelines goes through Ukraine, which was built when Ukraine and Russia were single countries. But now Ukraine demands tolls to Russia to use these pipelines, which takes billions of dollars from Russia every year. Russia built few new pipelines to remove Ukraine's pipelines, and these pipelines are going to be completed till 2024. But in early 2012, the natural gas had found in the Black Sea within Ukraine's borders, which is up to 2 trillion cubic meters. And in 2010, Ukraine was using huge oil reserves along Donetsk and Kharkiv in the east and around the Carpathian region in the west. And this made Ukraine world's 14th largest reserve of natural gas and oil. And due to this discovery, the exports of
Yes, sir. This
natural
is right.
gas and oil from Russia to European Union will affect directly. In 2014, when Ukrainian government fell, Russia took the Crimea and two-thirds of the Ukraine's coastline and 80% of offshore oil reserves of Ukraine. And the landlocked reserve were located near major conflict zones between Russia and Ukraine. And these invasions of Ukraine led to canceling the contracts of private
Your time up.
companies which were drilling the oil and natural gas reserves. Ukraine did not have money and equipments to drill the oil. But in Crimea, there is a but when Russia invaded the Crimea, the there was no water, no fresh supply of water. 85% of water in Crimea came down from the canals built by Ukraine before invasion. After invasion of Crimea, Ukraine blocked the canal, which left Crimea with no water, and Russia had to spend billions of dollars to provide water to Crimea. This is why Ukraine was trying to join NATO to turn the Article 5 of NATO, which states if a NATO ally is a victim of armed attack, the other members will consider the attack as against all members and will take actions. And this will help Ukraine to take back Crimea. And there are many reasons like this, but due to lack of time, I need to stop. Thank you.
Okay, good Paras. Given in limited time, good reasons which are really the issues in hand which Russia was claiming. But 2 points I would like to add in your topic, that is what Putin was claiming, that two agendas. One is demilitarization, second is denazification. I hope you understand these two things. What Ukraine was
Yes.
becoming a forward base for US and allied countries, that is NATO, and second is the roots goes to Second World War, when the German forces, Hitler's forces, was really got um back in the Russia's terrain, and from there are some Nazis who got retained in this western part of Russia. Ukraine is erstwhile USSR part. So in that there are a lot of Nazi roots which Putin and Russia per se feels threatened. They feel that there are still anti-Russia sentiments in those Nazis who got defeated in Second World War. And if you pay attention, the Ukraine president has got, he is from which ethnic group?
Jews.
Jew. So all those things are also there in the background. Okay, who is next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dubey Saab.
Can I leave now? I need to leave.
Okay, go ahead. Dubey Saab. Vivek again request, keep time.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Dubey, sir, you can start.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir, and my dear friends. A leader is a person who always motivates his men, he inspires his men, and set an example before them. Yes, friends, in next 2 to 3 minutes, I would like to tell you about Zelensky, a real leader. Friends, why it is happening and what is going on all around the world. We have seen all the things due to the power. Everyone needs to improve their power. They wanted to improve their territory. They wanted to enhance the capability of their nation. Yes, friends, for doing this, definitely Zelensky or Putin, they all have played their role well. But friends, today we are going to discuss about Zelensky only. Friends, he is winning the hearts by saying that whenever he has found an opportunity to go to the US or to be evacuated from that location, he told the US counterpart that he wanted to remain in his country rather than fleeing from there. The fight is here, and that he needed anti-tank ammunition, but not right. That was the words of Zelensky. He shows that he is really worried about his men. He has taken initiative to save them. He sent them all in the shelters, and thereafter he taken his army and came in front of the enemies on the roads, on the whatever streets were available. He was leading the men from there only, and he's taking a bold and strong decisions. He's making necessary decisions, and he's proving his iron will. Whenever he told his persons by utilizing the resources available there, he utilized social media and spread his words. He told his man that they have to fight for the freedom of the country, they have to fight for the sovereignty of the country, and all the men came together because of his words. They like that person, that is the manpower he gained. And another thing is that he has also got some cushion to provide a thrust whenever, up to the time when he will get some power from the NATO countries or from other countries of the world. Till the time he has to fight with Russia, and he did that well. Another thing is that he is having a killer instinct by which he fight for the nation, and he is not leaving that nation. He is having a great nationhood, and and refused to evacuate it from that his own territory. And he's always changing his pattern of fighting, As we have seen earlier, he was fighting as a normal person, and thereafter they started fighting as a guerrilla warfare, and thereafter they are also changing. They are utilizing their weapons well.
Yeah,
Another
30
thing is
seconds.
that he's also a very great diplomat. He's taking a good decision. He's getting the support of the another countries and following a good tactics. He has also given opportunity to have a peace talk with the Russia, as he accepted their peace talk, and thereafter he sent his troops to the Belarus for having a good peace talk, and thereafter he has also did a lot of things when you are
For a
there
time up.
and you are leading your men at that time. If you are providing them support, you are always keep in touch with them, then definitely you are motivating them and you are boosting their morale, and morale is the factor which wins the war. So at the end, I want to say that Zelensky proved that he's a great leader. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, good, Dubey Saab. If you note names of two presidents who are fighting war, Vladimir or the Ukrainian pronunciations, Volodymyr, Vladimir Putin, Volodymyr Zelensky. These are actually historically, culturally very, very common uh, people, society, and that is how they are sentimentals also. Of course, uh, the advantage which Zelensky is getting is he is a star entertainer, and people reacting to his call. If you see, this is something which is very unique. We notice every citizen is ready to fight, and there was one news that one Indian student was staying back, did not come back here in India because his house owner had joined Ukrainian army and his wife and two kids. So this student felt sentimental that this man is fighting for his country, let me help his family. These are the emotions created in the country. Definitely, when you are in uniform or when you are in a position to defend your country or there is a warlike situation, your sentiments are very important. And Ukrainian sentiments, especially the western part of Ukraine, eastern, there was always pro-Russian feelings, and that is why on first day only Putin had announced two small countries or whatever liberation he has announced. There was a reason. People say during Lenin, Stalin's time, people were really suppressed. The identity of the original people was evaporated, and the present day culture in the eastern part of Ukraine is as good as Russia's culture, and there is no protest in the eastern part of Ukraine. And what point are already highlighted, Zelensky, a patriot, but his pro NATO and pro US stand is threatening the Putin, and that is why he had said we cannot keep quiet when there is a knife on our throat. This is very important to understand why the war is happening. His statement is to some extent correct. When it is militarized, Ukraine is militarized, or NATO forces keeping their forward armies and the equipments there, then it will be a problematic thing for Russia, because it had fought Cold War. Again they are rising, but we will discuss in subsequent whatever people come up with the topics. Okay, who is next?
Sir, I
Sir,
will.
Subodh. Okay, we'll go to Subodh. Dubey sir, please keep time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Subodh, you may start.
Okay. So good morning, gentlemen. My lecture topic is Ukraine's history. So we all know that Ukraine is a former bloc of the Soviet Union, that is the former USSR, and Ukraine got independent in 1991 after the disintegration of the Soviet bloc. Now, if we talk about the history of Ukraine, after 1648 rebellion of the Cossacks against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the hitman signed agreement with Russia, but the agreement did not last long, as it seems to be a very controversial agreement between Russia and the hitman. Then after it took place between Russia and the Polish Empire, in 1654 till 1667. In consequence, Eternal Peace Treaty was signed in 1686, and according to that treaty, the eastern part of Ukraine came under the control of Russian rule. Then, after the partition of Poland in 1772 to 1795, the Russian conquest of Crimea, the Russian Empire and the Habsburg Austria, they took control all over the Ukraine for almost 100 years. Now, if we come to the era of 1900s, in 1917 we know that the Bolshevik revolution was happened, and in this particular revolution, a lot of chaotic situations, lot of things happened in this particular era, especially in Ukraine, because the Ukraine people now rised up and they want independence from the USSR, that is the Soviet Union bloc. In today's era, it is Russia. Lot of civil wars took place. Then lot of leaders belongs to Ukraine. They fought for their independence, and not only that, the civilians also come forward to fought for it. Then in 1967, in 1917, and in 1921, the partially recognized Ukraine Republic emerged in this particular era. Now, if I talk about the next point, the Ukraine-Soviet War of 1917 to 21, in which the Bolshevik Red Army took control in late 1919. The Ukraine Bolshevik, who defeated national government in Kiev, established the Ukraine Soviet Socialist Republic on 30 December 1922, became one of the founding republics of Soviet Union, and at that time Russia directly controls all the Ukrainian part of it. Then, if I talk about the next point, in 1932 to 1933, there was a great famine which struck Ukraine, and most of the people killed in that war, and the 4 to 5 million people were the Ukrainians. And it is one of the things that the Soviet Union behaved with the Ukrainians. Now, if I talk about the World War situation, in 1939, the Ukrainians fought both with the Nazi Germany as well as with the the Soviet bloc. But still, the Axis army took control of Ukraine from 1941 to 44. Then after the Soviet Union took control of the Ukraine, and till the liberation of 1991. So it shows that, and according to my conclusion, Ukraine has been a very hotspot for the wars from its history only. And now also the Russia took control the Crimean island on 22nd or 23rd of Feb in 2014. And if I talk about the current situation also, the Russia invaded Ukraine on 24th of Feb 2022. So it seems that Ukraine is one of the hotspot zone, and it is one of the beneficial country for the Russia, because Russia did not want to allow or did not want to get Ukraine disintegrated from it, because as the American, we can say it as the American beneficial, for the purpose of American beneficials and for the hate against the NATO. Thank you.
Okay, good, Subodh. It is very relevant to know history. If you see, we'll talk about modern history. In 1917, the Russian Revolution happened, but that time Ukraine's part of territory in that USSR actually was more dominant. Initially, it was the Ukrainian language and culture which was established there. In 1930, Russia suppressed and put Russian language ahead of Ukraine language. Actually, Ukraine had its own identity. Ukraine had its own very, very strong feelings. And that is why when it was Second World War, 1939 to 44, when Germany invaded the USSR or that part, the Ukraine fought for two fronts. Ukraine was trying to liberate from Russia also, USSR. That means these feelings are very, very deep rooted. That time also they struggled. While they were defending from the Germans' attack, they also tried to get away from USSR. This is very interesting to know that always they had mindset of independence from USSR. If that is so this loggerheads, this anti-feeling of USSR is real reason of war. And in 1991, when the Russia or USSR broke, Ukraine was first one to get liberated, because these feelings were deep rooted. So when Nazism or demilitarization, what Putin is claiming, it has got very important strategic view. They are feeling now, once Putin has declared himself lifetime president. Some students who are with me little 1 year plus back, I must say, first Chinese premier announced lifetime presidentialship, and second was Putin. These were the indications they are going for long road map. Expansionism was on card, and first one was Crimea, because Crimea was handed over or transferred during through the peaceful talks. But now, when they were becoming strong, Zelenskyy was showing those indications that we are not going to cooperate and things are going to disturb Russia. And that is what is exactly is happening. Okay, who is next?
Sir, I'm ready.
Yes, sir, I'm also.
Okay, we'll give chance to Vivek and then Pooja. Subodh, keep time.
Yes, sir. You can start.
Mm, Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone, and sir, and my dear friends. Um, from the last week, we are watching that what is happening in the world, especially in between the Ukraine and Russia. And the news are spreading that there will be adverse effect on the world. I mean, the all in the all countries if the war will happen, and the many of the sectors will suffer from this war, like agriculture sector, in the industrial sector, and healthcare sector also. On searching such a topic on internet, it found that there will be a bad impact on the agriculture sector also. Not agriculture, but the Indian agriculture sector also, because together uh, the Ukraine and Russia together accounts for the 90% of India's sunflower oil, and there is a chances to the hike in the prices of edible oil if the situation remains the same. India largely depend on the Ukraine for the sunflower oil, because they produce the better quality of sunflower oil, and hence there is a large demand from the India for the sunflower oil. Apart from this, Ukraine is also a big producer of the corn, barley, and rye, which are used in the liquor industry, and the many of part of Europe depends on it. And also, Ukraine is called the bread basket of the Europe for the good reasons, because it accounts for the 20, for the 12% of the global wheat export, and the 16% of the global corn export, and 18% of the barley export. So now we are just praying for the situation will be good, and everything will happen at the best. Thank you, sir. It's over.
Okay, good. This angle is also important. Trade. If you see Russia and Ukraine, if you we compare these two countries, obviously Russia is having upper hand when our mutual trade goes, and second is Ukraine. In the USSR, all these countries, the number two is Ukraine, and we had very friendly relations with both the countries. Ukraine has got almost $3 billion trade with us. Russia has got around $9 billion trade. More than that, Russia has got different issues also with us, friendly relations, because we cannot afford to have Russia on opposite side for us. So we will talk in someone who is talking relevant on this. I will come to it. But as far as agriculture goes, yes, agriculture, though not really in the upper arena when we talk about topics of trade. First is definitely we are exporting pharmaceutical things and other issues, but we are importing some kind of steel related or machinery related things from Ukraine. But agriculture, yes, it is going to get affected, because we are looking forward for agricultural boost, and we cannot afford to have other trade partners who are not joining us. Our 18,000 plus students are there in Ukraine. This also is an important figure. Why should we lose on those friendly relations? Very important. Okay, Vivek, good. Pooja, ready?
Yes, sir.
Vivek, keep time.
Okay, sir. Pooja ma'am, you can start now.
Good morning, everyone. Today's my lecture topic is India and Ukraine relationship. So it is a small but vibrant Indian community lives in Ukraine, comprising most of the business professional and students. There are about 18,000 Indian students studying in Ukraine, mainly in the field of medicines, Indian business professionals, and pharmaceuticals, IT engineering, medicines, education sector. So actively, the Ukraine actively engages India and Ukraine organize several events such as a Diwali festival, cricket tournaments, holy festivals, Indian dance festivals, screening of Bollywood movies, and etc. There is one. There is one also embassy of Ukraine in New Delhi. So it is a India has an extensive bilateral relationship with Ukraine, spanning all the sphere of cooperation, and India was one of the first country to recognizing Ukraine. There are more than 17 bilateral agreement have been signed between India and Ukraine, including all the agreements between cooperation in science and technology, foreign office constellation, cooperation in space research, in double taxation and promotion to protection of the investment. So the India and Ukraine trade relation, our economic cooperation has developed on the basis of long-standing friendship between two countries. In March 1992, the treaty friendship and cooperation was signed between India and Ukraine. So it's providing a major boost to India and Ukraine to a trade relation, and it has been developing a very fast pace. There has been threefold increase in the India and Ukraine trade during 2003 and 2005. So it has exceeded up to 1 billion, and before that Ukraine imports from India have been double and stand by 3 to 1 4 billion in 2006, while Ukraine export to India have been increased 3.6 times. So there are some main items being imported from Ukraine in India, like drugs, pharmaceutical production, ores, minerals, tobacco, products like tea, coffee, spices, like silk, jute, and there are many more imported by India from Ukraine are like chemical equipments, machines, engines, and the bilateral trade between two countries has grown significantly in the last 25 years. So it was almost a major boost to India and Ukraine trade relationship. So Ukraine is not a new member in India to Indian industry, and it is enterprises are
Yeah, totally
actively
different.
involved and backbone of Indian are in power sector. And India has also friendly relationship between political relationship. Ukraine also support the resolution of the issues of Jammu Kashmir on the basis of Shimla agreement, and Ukraine also support to reform in the UN structure. And Indian citizens also get eligible for Ukraine for visa, and the process is
Time is over.
online. No need to attend embassy or consult in person. So I think lastly I will conclude that the India-Ukraine trade relationship are very important to cooperation and develop on the basis of long-lasting friendship. And to major boost to India in a trade relationship. So I think it is very important to save relation between and friendship between India and Ukraine. Thank you.
Yes, India Ukraine relations always cordial. If you remember when I spoke, we had friendly relations. In 1991, Ukraine got liberated, we can say, from the USSR, independent country. We were one of the first to acknowledge its sovereignty. We opened embassy, they also opened embassy within 1 year in each other's country. Trade wise, yes, we are having good trade relations. As such, if you see, our relations with all USSR countries are friendly. We are having defense dependability on Russia and other countries. When it was broken up, we had a lot of problems because before breaking up, these all defense industries were scattered. Suppose MiG 21 was imported, so some parts were developed in other parts of the USSR and that got liberated. So there were issues. We had faced little bit problems. In our interest, we always wanted to be friendly with all these countries because almost more than 70% defense equipments are from USSR origin. Today also we are dependent on that. Okay, we'll talk more on that. Who is next?
Sure. So,
Gurjant Saab. Okay. Pooja, keep time.
Yes, sir. You can start.
thank you, Pooja. Uh, Good morning, sir, and my dear friends. As whole country world is struggling with a deadly pandemic, the latest move by Russia will only add more difficulty for recovering economy of various countries around the world. So, friend, I will speak on what will be the impact of Russian-Ukraine war on India and world. Firstly, how it will impact on India, as India imports more than 80% its oil requirements. So this conflict will impact on oil prices and supply. So it will also leads to the price rising of oil, and it will also leads to inflation. Second, as India imports 20%, 0.20% gas from Russian, and recently India has also one agreement signed with Russia company for natural gas. So this conflict also will be impact on the supply of gas, and it will also impact on price of natural gas. And as we know, India has many joint venture with Russia on military equipment and manufacturing. This conflict will also impact on this joint venture or defense manufacturing due to the sanction of rest of the world on the Russia. And what will the effect on world? As 40% of gas and 25% of the oil as Europe imported from Russia. So this dependency will also this conflict leads to the supply of the oil, and it will also leads to the inflation, and will impact on the rest of the world, as Russia is world's largest wheat supplier uh, in the European country or the West world. So this conflict which also leads to the supply of the wheats and will impact on inflation. And what are the lesson for India from this conflict? So firstly, uh, in this conflict, it is clearly visible nation with weak military will not able to sustain itself against technology and adverse military. So we should also focus on our Indianization of equipments, and also
Last 30
focus on
seconds.
our equipment manufacturing. And it also gives lesson to the India. Civil and military gap should be bridged. There should be collaboration between the military and the civil population, and it will also give the lesson the leadership be professional, not with the political learning and the personal gaining. And India should also work on Indianization of military
Time
equipment,
up.
as the Prime Minister also highlighted that the uniqueness of military equipment will also be the need of the present situation. So we should also work on our manufacturing, and it this conflict also will make the disbalance between the power, as the China is very closely to the Russia, and the rest of the world is also a with group of European Union and NATO. So the focus of the West world will also be reduced from the Indo-Pacific region. It will also make the disbalance of powers in the Indo-Pacific region. So we should also work on our development of military equipment and development of ties with the other country. It will ensure our sovereignty and military power. Thank you.
Very important to understand what will be the impact of this war on overall world. Yes, there will be impact, relations and trade, and some of the friends turning foe, foe turning friend. This is going to happen. There was one project Russia was trying to push, Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline to Germany, and that was really a real reason seems for US getting annoyed, because if this project to be succeeded, then Russia's uninterrupted gas goes to Germany, economic trade improves, Russia becomes uh, economically very strong, because Germany will get benefit of uninterrupted gas pipeline, but the economic implications and Ukraine's impact will be less. So that is why probably Ukraine was getting little naughty because of their mentors US. Okay, so when Russia and Ukraine are fighting, overall now sanctions, if you see, obviously Putin must have calculated that there will be some sanctions, but these trades for 1 year 2 year will be affected, but it will have probably gas, oil, these prices will rise, and world will as such coming out of this COVID will have a lot of problems, especially the developing world. Another thing is defense material. This material obviously is a root cause of many wars. If Ukraine needs to get defended, has to be dependent on NATO and US, so they have to buy few more things or may accommodate their military equipments. So maybe these all equations really are very very critical and ugly too, because when we think from humanity point of view doesn't sound good, but these are the root causes. But obviously if this war is not controlled, still we will have impact on oil price rise, and if it is going beyond some limits, then it will be dangerous, because one of the country presses the nuclear panic, then it will be really very very dangerous. But people will show wisdom, we will hope for that. Okay, who is next?
Sir Tejas.
Tejas. Okay, Gurjant sahab, keep time.
So, Tejas, you may start.
Good morning, everyone. Today, my topic for lecturette is India's role in Ukraine-Russia conflict. So, I understand this topic divided in two parts: India's role while resolving the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, and India's role after the conflict is settled down. So, as we know, the tensions are increasing and escalating day by day, and Russia is no more looking to step back. So, it will be very important for India to acknowledge what Russia's interests are and how long Russia will take this war. Because if you see, we have a very important role in evacuation of stranded Indians. So we have already started evacuation program under the Operation Ganga. So it is that we need cooperation of Russian military and also the Ukrainian government in this part. So India will have a role to play in this. Secondly, if you feel, though Russia and Ukraine has agreed to have talks on Belarus border, but it will be very important and thing to note that I feel there will be very unlikely concessions arrived through these talks. So India's role here becomes very important to take both the parties on the board and have discussion between them to resolve the whatever tensions and whatever issues are there between Russia and Ukraine. Secondly, if you see, yesterday only the Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that has alerted the deterrence forces, and they said it should be on activism. So it will be very important for India that India should amicably manage Putin administration to not go for the nuclear warfare, as it will have various devastating effects. Now, on the second part, I feel after the settling down of conflict, uh, there will be high possibility that there will be a fragmented global order, and there will be a complete deglobalization. So the India's role will be very significant after the settlement of conflict in unifying the world again and globifying the world again. Also, there is another point that because of this conflict, there is already sanctions on Russia, and probably there will be less and decline in the capital flows from the other countries, and these countries will be trying to look and invest more and more in their homelands. So here, because of rise in inflations, also the Indian rupee's value is depleting.
Last 30 seconds.
So the role is here becomes very important that India again try to revive the trust in international markets so that India's growth prospect through FDIs are not affected. And also India look forward to secure the value of Indian rupee. We see that China has not voted and abstained from voting in the United Security Council, and there is a increasing closeness between China and Russia. So here it becomes very important that how India will be
Time
playing
up.
important role in safeguarding its interest in countering China. Also, the last point here is the problem of defense equipments. We have majorly dependent on Russia, and because of this, there may be also we have some interest in the Western world for the defense equipment supply. Because of this conflict, there is a high chance that there will be delay in deliveries, and the countries will be looking to further strengthen their military arsenal. So, because of this opportunity, China can take advantage and push Indian borders. So here, Indian role becomes very important, that it safeguards its sustained interest in the Indo-Pacific and looks forward the Western world that it should not lose its interest in the Indo-Pacific. Thank you.
Okay, good Tejas. India's role in this conflict is very, very critical. We are largest democracy and people were watching. We have our own problems. We cannot take side. It is not Ukraine actually, it is Ukraine and US and NATO. And on one side, Russia. So, when we take anybody's side, we will lose many things. That's why a very, very diplomatic stand India has taken. Abstain from voting, but condemned and shown some worry and asked to restrain both the parties and come to negotiation table. India has got role in this, at least raising the concern, because Russia cannot ignore India's voice, and that is why recent statements from Putin was India's stand is good, and before the war started actually, and India is our friend or something like that. These were important steps. But at the same time, Russia has got its own objective, Ukraine has got its own mission to defend themselves, and they are not ready to give up. But to bring them on a negotiation table is more important. If we see before the economy was opened, we were totally with Russia. We had any other partner in a very, very remote sense. But after the economy was opened, US started coming closer, and nowadays, especially after Donald Trump's stint, we were too close actually. Trump and Indian government was quite close. Today also we are close, but these relations cannot be spoiled because it has come a long way. At the same time, we don't want to get away from Russia because we want Russia for China's front. Tomorrow, if India China war breaks out, we need Russia at least neutral. Even if they don't take our side, they should not go to China. This is very important because in 1971, Russia had given a signal that we are with India, and that is why US did not enter. So these are the equations we need to see further, because today if Galwan Valley, Russia was a player behind curtains who tried giving some signals to China. So we need them at least thought wise with us. Okay, who is next?
Sir Omkar.
Omkar. Okay, they just keep time.
Yes, sir. You can start, Omkar.
Today's lecturette topic is the Ukraine crisis. This is the geopolitical power struggle between Russia and US. In 1991, Ukraine became independent from the Soviet Union. Before, it is a part of Russia. Both Ukraine and Russia shares 3,000 kilometer of border. Then NATO is the provide the collection security against the Soviet Union. US is the most of all country are the part of NATO near Russia. The UK, Germany, Poland, Romania, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Poland, and Turkey. More than 32 countries are the part of NATO. Overall, the US have countered over the Russia. The Ukraine is the only just a part of it. The US threatening the Ukraine that there is a huge supply of arms and huge soldiers on border. Then the US provides under the NATO treaty to Ukraine more armaments, equipment, and the help financial help to Ukraine to to get against the Russia. Then the Russia understand the NATO comes across border, and the Russia understand the NATO member uh, is is Ukraine is comes across the border, and Russia understand the situation and uh, get uh, get attacks on Ukraine. But there is no any country come across come with the Ukraine to oppose the Russia. Then all the country having make a union and make a sanctions on Russia. Then also the US declare the financial nuclear bomb in the Russia on Russia. Russia have banned other currencies, and Russia also declined from industrial trades and the currency exchange. Russia and China have good relationship. They both uh, they both are at the same team. The other is also India is plays a very important role till now in U, U, UN Security Council. India abstained on vote. India tried to solve the situation silently by taking both of them in a same platform and communicating and negotiating. They India tried to solve the problem. Then, lastly, I want to conclude that US is the main reason behind the Ukraine crisis. US have to counter the Russia. The US must make problem solver to solve this problem, not to increase the problem, because the war is not well for the anyone. Both the in war both the sides are affected, and now the Russia also understand the in the republic country there is a have to decision to make where with go or where with not go. The then the all the things are consideration by the Russia and US make this war end up. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Omkar. Power struggle between US and Russia. It is recropping actually. It is coming up again. We had witnessed worst phase, the Cold War period. World had suffered many wars in different zones because of their power struggle. Today again it is cropping up. Very sad. There are some allegations, may or may not be true. Sitting president of US, Biden, his son has got a lot of business interest in Ukraine. When Biden was vice president, he had given a lot of emphasis to the Ukraine, and Ukraine was getting strengthened. A lot of empowerment was happening, and side by side, maybe business opportunities for his son may have been done. That may be true, but then these issues also then matter because you get sentimental. You want to save because there are losses and there are some feelings. After that Cold War, today it will not be like that. There is third player, China. We are still not in that race. We are little behind, and we probably will not disturb the equations of the world because our culture is different. We are not expansionist, but US, Russia and China are expansionist in direct or indirect sense. That is a problem for the world. When this episode happens, I don't think any speaker is left. I will take 2-3 minutes. Anyone wants to speak so that I can have liberty of speaking little more? Renuka?
No, sir, I will listen today.
Okay, Muskan and Renuka will listen only. Okay, so it will not be good actually because unlike the earlier phase where Russia and US were fighting for superpower status, and in that bargain, if you see history, Russia was racing ahead. They had put first satellite in orbit. They had put first human being in space. They were first. Only thing, Then US came up with first man landing on moon, but that was also controversial. Okay, that is a past. But in that bargain, what happened? Russia produced so much of military technology, so much of bombs and rockets and aircrafts and tanks, that there was economic crisis, food crisis. They probably emphasized too much on military in that war race, and that is how. And couple of decisions also, when the Vietnam war was happening, Russia was helping the Vietnam, and US got defeated. In a sense, it was a defeat only. And when Russia was trying to utilize their economic muscle, which was drained, and people say, the historians say, there was a time when people had no bread to eat, but there were bombs lying on the road. That was exaggeration, but that was a state. They had so much of surplus military production. And then Mikhail Gorbachev came, and his ideology was little democratic, because why this tussle happens? It is the ideology or political ideology differences. Communism versus these liberals or the capitalists. And to stop Russia, US was always, Russia in the sense communism influence. That was the agenda of US always. And today it is not really in that sense, but Russia is always a potent threat for US. And today China and Russia are aligning on many fronts. But my personal opinion is, if this situation turns out to be like occupation of Ukraine by Russia, or a favorable government putting in Ukraine by Russia, will change the world dynamics. It will pave the way for many power struggles now hereafter. Own gains will be looked after by each country. First one will be China. Will definitely go for Taiwan. Obviously they don't want to disturb the trade relations, and that is why they are slow on it. They will wait for opportune moment, unlike Russia. Russia probably was trying to convince US and NATO, just give up this call that Ukraine will join NATO. This war or this accession could have been avoided, but US pulled actually Russia into this war zone. They could have easily said, okay, Ukraine will be neutral, they will never join NATO. But they deliberately pulled Russia and Ukraine into war zone. Maybe military production business interest. Who denies that? Nobody denies, because these are the reasons all across history. Your trade, military trade especially, all these equipments and support for it, because there are lobbies. Another thing which is a takeaway from this, when Ukraine faced Russian attack, they felt helpless. Nobody was really defending Ukraine. This is something like Japan. Japan after Second World War chose the path of peace, did not feel like raising army. And today Japan is raising army, because in today's world you cannot have weak armies. You have to stand on your own. You cannot be dependent on anybody else. The Ukrainian president, when he was saying we are alone, nobody is there, this situation was created actually. Their nuclear capability and all was there, but they relied too much on NATO and US help, or whatever talk was there, they believed in that. And larger agenda, who knows what is the larger agenda. But these are the issues which will change the world hereafter. And there is an opportunity for us also, but we need to wait for time. If Ukraine or Crimea was the issue for Russia, for us it is POK. We have abrogated Article 370. If we capture POK back, because this is what is China and Russia is doing, capturing back their own territories, claimed territories. There are always disputes. So maybe this is opening a box, Pandora's box, all over world. Every country will defend their aggression. So maybe there is a lot of permutation combination hereafter, and international relations in UN Security Council when voting was there, world was watching who is on which side. Russia's calculated risk was proven correct, that nobody will object. Something like on a small scale we did air strike and surgical strike, ground strike. Nobody really objected when there was justification and when there are backdoor negotiations prior to that. So before launching war, you have to do this homework. So tomorrow's world is all about opportunism, creating that atmosphere, and international diplomacy is very important. And today we are in a position to find out our own way, put some of the countries on our side, because we are huge interest, business interest for rest of the world, and we also look forward for better trades with other countries. When we say we want to be Atmanirbhar and when we want to become $5 trillion economy, we cannot afford to lose relations now. We have to keep business interest on top, because a lot of social issues are related to that. If we lose some partners, we are losing businesses, we are creating then unemployed people, some of the plants getting shut, problems will be there. One tragic things will come out from this with these sanctions. Let's wait and watch how Russia handles it, because there will be a lot of lessons those who are planning such kind of activities in future, because modern day war is really revolving about economy. It is unprecedented. We saw First World War, Second World War, but these are modern warfares. If someone puts sanctions on you, a lot of business are affected, your own people will rise against you. There are protests in Russia, but these may be planted protests, who knows it. There are already protests, 3,000 people are detained, because there are some personal losses, there will be some deaths, there will be some people who will be losing their family members when you fight war. Ukrainian people, yes, they are sufferers, not only the people who are fighting but the citizens also. And Russia's side, if there are some casualties, what Ukraine is claiming, that is also a loss. It brings sentiments. And if the sanctions put in Russian economy on a downside, definitely there will be anger. But who can do what? Putin is there till at least 2036. He is 69. Zelenskyy is 44. There is a age difference and maturity difference and political experience difference too. Okay, anybody, anything to ask?
Yes, sir. I
Yes,
have one question.
yes, Omkar.
Sir, sir, the position of India till now is neutral, sir. Sir, in the further there is a summit, sir, in next month. So we have not neutral too much more, sir. So which side we have to taken, Russia or the US? Sir, in my opinion, the Russia is our best, sir. Relation with Russia.
Yes. See, if at all we want to take side, we will not take actually, we will be neutral. That is my take on it. But even if we get compelled to take some side, it will be Russia today. In future it may be US, but today it is Russia. Because our immediate enemy is China. US from a very very far distance may or may not be able to help us. But, and there are some other reasons also. Russia, our only nuclear submarine is Russian. Our 70% plus tanks and aircrafts and whatnot is Russian. We cannot afford to lose relationship with Russian. There are many joint projects. So that is the importance of keeping our relations intact with Russia. You can understand after the 65 war, where the negotiation was happening, Tashkent. Russia has always played role between India and Pakistan, and also now in India and China relationships. We want to keep at least Russia neutral when we fight China on whatever front. It may not be war, but even diplomatic front. And tomorrow we want permanent membership of UN Security Council. So these are things we will be neutral, and if we get compelled to take side, it will be silently on Russia's side, at least at the present scenario. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Amruta joining
Thank you,
late.
sir.
You want to speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead fast. I thought
Yes,
we
sir.
have finished. Uh,
Yes.
Omkar, keep time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Today's my lecture topic will be Russia and Ukraine. Let's see Russia. Uh, Russia is the most largest country in the world. It is a transnational spanning Eastern Europe and North Asia. It has the largest country by area. Area is 1 crore 71 lakh 25,191 square kilometers and compassioning 1/8 of Earth's inhabitable landmass. Russia extends across 11 time zones and brought 16 Soviet nations, the most of any country in the world. It is the ninth most populous country and the most populous country in Europe with a population of 145.5 million. Uh, Vladimir Putin is a politician and he is currently president of Russia. Putin was born in 1952 on 7 October. He is now 69 years old. He was a prime minister of Russia from 1999 to 2000, then president of Russia from March 2000 to May 2008, and prime minister again from 2008 to 2012, and as well as president once again in 2012. He originally trained as a lawyer. Vladimir Putin is worked in Russian army on rank lieutenant colonel from 1975 to 1991. Now let's see about Ukraine. Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe. It is the second largest country by area in Europe after Russia, which it borders to the east and northeast. Ukraine also shares borders with Belarus to the north, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary to the west, Romania and Moldova to the south, and has a coastline along the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. It spans the area of 628 kilometers square, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy is president of Ukraine, sixth president of Ukraine. Let's see about Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He was born on 25th January 1978. He is 44 years right now. He has age of 44 years. In Ukraine state, he is a Ukraine statement and a former actor and comedian
Last 30 seconds.
who has been serving as a president of Ukraine since 2019. He gained worldwide recognition as a wartime leader of Ukraine during the Russian invasion of Ukraine and has been described as a national hero in Ukraine because of this war situation. That's for today. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Okay, Amruta
Time up.
spoke in general. Okay, we had spoken in on this particular subject today in detail, many angles. Very nice to hear from all of you, and we as a sincere and learned citizen, we need to keep our eyes and ears open, keep studying all these subjects, not only from the competitive exams point of view. Of course, today that is an immediate aim and goal for all of you, but in a longer run, it is interesting. This life is very beautiful. We need to really enjoy every facet, whether it is related to personal, society related, nation related, international related, and world, how it is really changing in front of us. All these things are very, very interesting, and that is why we must discuss, read, and have debates. It can be critical views also, but it is opinions, and we need to develop that more and more. With this we will end. Paucity of time, otherwise there are more things to discuss, but it's okay, we'll keep discussing these things. Okay, thank you. Jai Hind. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank
Jai
you.
Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.